Howdy. So today marks the 1 year anniversary of Complete CSS. Now in the course we end up building this page, but to get to this point, with all of it composed nicely and flowing beautifully, we have to build the whole system that sits behind it. So if I just quickly switch my tabs, so this is the pattern library that we work on. So every part of the site that we build it within this pattern library first. So that's the main part of the build along, is building ourselves an extensible system that will scale really nicely as this fictional barista academy grows with time. So we've got breakdowns of color and typography and the fluid scale that goes with that, and then some spacing. Everything shows you the way that we can use design tokens or custom properties as well. So we do the documentation good too. We've also got layout compositions, all with examples, so you can use them, along with core utilities, of which we're going to use one of them today as well. So what I thought we could do to show you how useful this way of building is to just build the top of the homepage on the site. So this is my local version, and you'll notice if I just quickly flick to the home page, we're missing this whole top section. We've skipped right down to this section. So we're going to use the pattern library and we're going to build this. So we're at 1 minute 45 seconds roughly. Let's see if we can build this in a couple of minutes. So the first pattern that we need is the header, the site head. So I'm going to go ahead and find it in the pattern library. There it is. And then every pattern in the pattern library, because this is based in 11t, we've got ourselves a nunjux helper to render each pattern. This empty object here is empty, but you can also pass custom data into the pattern too. So it's a really helpful way of building. So if I just skip to my text editor, and I'm just going to paste that in there. And then if I go back to my local version, scroll up, there's the site head, but it hasn't got this lighter background. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it in a div, and I'm going to say BG dark glare. And you're probably wondering, where has he got that utility class from? Well, if I flick back to our pattern library and go to our colors, we've got the dark glare token here, and then in this table it shows you all the ways you can use it, and I've just used this utility class. So that's the U in Cube CSS, which we get into in the core story. Alright, so that's the site head in place. Let's have another flick back and see what else we need. So we need this masthead as well. So I'm going to go back to the pattern library. I'm going to find the masthead. It helps if I actually click the link. There we go. And then inside of there, I'm going to pop it just under the site head like we've got on this live site version. So if I just go here and then pop it there. And then if I go back to the browser and look at my local version, oh, it's all bled out and it's full width, and we don't want that. We want it to be contained in this universal container / wrapper. Well, we've got a utility for that, and it's called the wrapper. So I just stick that in there, and then tidy that up there. Our masthead is now beautifully wrapped. We've got this hard edge now, we need some space. If I just go back to our live version, there's this little bit of space at the bottom of this region here, and to help with that, we've got a utility called a region. So, and that adds a bit of space between the top and the bottom. So I'm going to say region on there. Excuse my text editor, I'll format it because I know it upsets people. It doesn't seem to want to be using prettier today, which is never fun. So if I go back to my local version now, you see it's really taking shape really fast. So then all we've got to do now is add this one more pattern which is this hero unit. So I'm going to go again back to my pattern library. I'm going to find my hero. I'm going to grab this little snippet, and then back in my text editor I can plonk the hero there. Go back to my local version. Looks fine, but it's butted up right against this masthead, but the spacing at the bottom's fine. So we only want to add spacing to one side of the element. Now you might be thinking, alright, I'm just going to add some margin with a utility class to it. But the methodology that we're learning in this course is that we let layout compositions make our spacing decisions for us, and that the components never dictate spacing themselves. So the temptation is to put some margin on the hero. But what's better to do is to use a layout composition to say, I only want space on sibling elements inside of the container. And we've got the perfect one for that. If I just quickly go back to the pattern library, go into our layout compositions, and then hit the flow utility, or if you're not from Yorkshire like me, the flow utility. And this adds space to the top of sibling elements for us, and we can determine that space too, which is perfect. So if I go back into my markup, and I'm going to add it to this here, so I'm going to say flow, and then I'll go back to my local version, and that's fine, just a little bit tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the spacing scale that we've got to add some more space. So I feel like we need this sort of space, like a extra large on the scale, and that the minimum of our fluid scale, that's going to be 49 pixels roughly, and then roughly 56 at max. So it's a good amount of space depending on the size of the viewport. So all we need to do there is flow space XL, and I got that from down here. So we got the flow space utility, and then I can say flow space XL, and then go back to my local version, looking good. And then let's flick back to the live version, local, live, it's looking perfect. And it's as easy as that. So not only do we go through the really important stuff with principles like communication, giving and receiving feedback, acting on that feedback to produce a simplified yet still creative design, but we also learn how to write really good CSS in the largest part of the course. So we go through this whole thing. You get to learn how to work with pattern libraries, you get to learn how to work with Cube CSS, and you get to learn how to build a CSS system that will scale with your project as it grows, rather than become a problem that needs to be solved in the long term. All right, I hope you'll check it out. Cheers.